And I'm Ines Garcia. I'm a citizen of the world. I live in the UK, in the countryside. I think there are more cows than humans where I am. I work for myself and I'm a generalist and I love it. Agile and climate coach. I'm a circular economy professional from Cambridge University, a biomimicry practitioner. I also implement carbon accounting software. I do a little bit of marketing development and other Salesforce things. I publish a couple books. Whoever likes games, I have a games for teams as well. So lots of different things. And when you merge all this stuff, essentially what I do every day, if you wonder, is helping organizations to reduce waste. And we think of waste of time, but also think about waste of finance, of effort, materials, energy, that also matters, right? And really focusing on impact, especially on leaving the place better than how we found it. And when I mean the place, it's yes, the products, the services that we touch, but also the people involved and beyond, and the planet. Fun things, I do all sort of stuff, but if you're wondering about growing your own food, you can also talk to me about permaculture. It's permaculture of growing food. Basically, you're harvesting water, sun, and soil. That's all it is. So I guess for me, well, it might have been like amalgamation of things. I've been working with global teams for forever and seeing how weather changes seriously affect livelihoods, friends, and family matter. And that's also not very far from home, right? Think Europe fires or the news this week with the marine heat waves of the UK and Ireland. I mean, this is happening. So over the last decade, for me, it's just become very, very apparent that our business as usual is the most unusual. Pollution contributes to almost 4 million human deaths a year, 1 million species threatened with extinction. We converted 75% of land not covered by the ice. 6 out of the 9 greatest threats are down to destructions of nature made by us, one species. Yeah, it's this idea of how can we think of growth as an endless entity when we live in a finite planet. So that sort of sent me to a quest about over 4 years ago. I was speaking with different organizations that they were doing things slightly different, researching, speaking with people in sustainability, but also in other multiple departments, operations. They do a lot of great work. Sometimes they don't get the shine that they should. There is a better way to the business. We can be sustainable, one would argue regenerative. That's where we need to go beyond zero to leave the place better than how we found it. And that quest, sort of landed into several patterns and I think very powerful stories that will help people move from that tangible agreements. Yeah, we need to do something to impactful action. And that's sort of what landed into publishing the book, right? Rather than keeping it all for myself. You mentioned XP, and I think it's wonderful to see how this year they had the sustainability as a theme and many other things around the conference. We can do everything that we do and we can do it better, just if we put our mind to it. So I was particularly also touched by the XP organizing team, thank you, Maurice and co, and also the Agile Alliance, even to willing to make a space and break free from preconceptions conference should look like, even extend this idea of accessibility. For example, my session was all remote, and that was a statement in itself, right? Is how can we reimagine better everything that we do? If we think about Agile per se arena, I think we can definitely take it up a notch. I think we are in this tipping point that it needs something else. And then when you mention tech is everywhere. I don't see it as an industry anymore. I see it as a fabric layer of our 21st century. If you think about it, tech is touching almost every aspect of our society and economy, even like mobile banking and everything, and how that also unlocks social accessibility and many other things. And whilst has the potential to support a reduction of the abuse of our extension of the planetary boundaries and the social shortfall as well, I think it's essential to recognize the technology also has its own environmental footprint. The production, the use, the disposal of it, all the hardware that is related to these things, cloud is not an actual cloud. It's a physical items, and it requires cooling and it requires space and all these other things that we are so far removed that we don't tend to think about it. So it's how can we infuse and reduce feedback loops so we can make informed decisions in terms of the resource consumption, the waste that it generates, the emissions, the huge amount of energy consumption. Let's not divert too much, but in large language models, for example, and other emerging technologies, we also need to think about ethics. What is the narrative that we are helping to foment in the use of these things? Also the consumption of it, and how by default it lacks context and diversity. First is to stay tuned to something that is coming up in the Agile Alliance initiative on this, because there is so many moving parts and it can feel like, oh my God, we're tackling this. For the ones that are watching this back, just go to Agile Alliance, and in members initiatives, you will see the sustainability one. For me, the most important message around all of this is that as Agile practitioners, we are key placed to enable businesses to be more adaptable, to be more efficient, to be more sustainable, with lots of the meaning of that word, and helping reduce the footprint in what we do, and focusing on actual value rather than noise and activity. So we have the skills, we have the tools at hand to embed that better way to the business, every step of the way, every day, in any activity, so that we can leave the place better than how we find them. And as part of my work around climate coaching comes very apparent the notion of, oh, I don't know enough. And that can be daunting. The good news is that you don't have to be an expert in our biosphere, which is such a wide area, and you do not have to do it alone. So one of the things that strike me is the fact that any change, not just, the biggest challenge that faced our species today, is that hardest thing of theoretical agreement that we mentioned earlier to tangible action. Yes, something can be done. Yes, I'm doing it. Right now, working on a collaborative potential of a product to help people exactly do that, right? Help them to move to the yes, we need to do something, to actually get on and do it in every day. To boost and activate others, because we don't have time to waste. You don't have to do it alone, and you do have a skill set that you can apply. So that will be my message. In essence, biomimicry, what it is to, rather than tackling the problem with our very anthropocentric view that we have all the answers, right? That our cognitive power is placed to go, you quiet that cleverness and you look into mechanisms, functions, strategies, principles that are all around us, things that have been evolving for 4 billion years of existence. Tap into that genius that already exists to help you to solve the problems. Economy is, the meaning of it is the managing of available, like the clever management of available resources. Depletion of aquifers and fisheries is not a clever way to manage our finite resources. So it's just that we don't account for social capital and natural capital in our transactions. That's all it is. First one is that I was reminded recently that eco-anxiety is eco-awareness. And that sort of makes me think that, there is a lot of things that you can do in this context, but one would be that there is always a moment on the matter that is this awakening moment. I had it, and I assume we are here talking about this, you lot as well. But not everybody had the opportunity to go through these motions. And after that moment, the understanding of our footprint and what we do and how it's all connected, you're suddenly wearing HD glasses, recognizing that we are all in our journey, and context is part of the process, right? So you're going to find people on different readiness levels, different motivations, different agency, And that's okay. We may have been privileged to go through the motions earlier. Also context specific, right? We focus so much into, oh, let's just have application of it. Well, this application may not work for my context. So the conversation shouldn't be like everybody have an EV car. Well, that's not sustainable to start. What is your context and what can you do today? I have some exceptions, like have you looked at your bank? Have you looked at your pension? Are you unknowingly supporting fossil fuels or deforestation, which is most likely yes. So go and check that and change. But most often, the question is, how do I live today? And how can I halve my footprint? You have that answer as a household, as an individual, as a team, as an organization, right? How you can scale and downscale these ideas in context. Bring people along, right? Let's be gentle. It's not easy conversation. It is important to think about your capacity, right? And so you put the big pebbles first, so everything fits. But some of the things that I'm involved is to please check the Agile Alliance Sustainability Initiative. We are putting a lot of time, effort, and care on that. So you'll see fruitful fruits coming out. And try things and let us know how it goes. Have a read. What does resonate? What doesn't? When you're going to try, how did that go, right? Because we all can learn from hindsight. This idea of the commons, right? Of common spaces that are utilized, I think are very appropriate for what we're trying to do is how can we learn from one another, because there is no time to waste. And there is a lot in this subject, again, and don't feel that you have to know it all. Especially if this intersection of agile sustainability interests you, the transition to a more regenerative practice requires collaboration. We hear so much about competition, but competition in nature happens only in early stages. Something has been disrupted, and quickly pioneering plans are covering the ground and all of that. But mature ecosystems works on cooperation. So let's cultivate cooperative relationships. And we need a wide range of professionals. Yes, agilists, and yes, designers, engineers, supply chains, procurement, waste reduction. There is a space for everybody, because what we're trying to save is our own species at the end of the day. So we don't have to do this alone. And especially by investing into experienced matter subject experts that have put their time, their effort, their finances in this quest, right? We can get there quicker. It matters, right? They dedicated to this. So let's bring them along so we can work into a more sustainable tomorrow. And I say tomorrow, not the future, right? It starts now. So let's be part of this solution and continue to work together to an economy, a society, and a biosphere that can generate abundance and benefit us all, beyond just one species. One thing that sort of was lingering at the back of my mind is these people may be heads of department, but they also have hearts. Right? Everybody has dreams and drives and intentions and past, and sometimes we seem to forget who we're talking to, and it's someone that wants to do well and leave a legacy. So it's important to be reminded, I think, that you're also talking with hearts and with passions and with dreams and drives. So that was one. And then second is that we sometimes on change, we tend to burn a lot of energy against resistance. And with some of you, I spoke of this before. If we think about how nature uses energy, is super efficient. Think about a river or a flow. It will always go to the easier path. Look at the momentum that you have in your context, where you can tap into that momentum to make the biggest impact, because we can do with every single bit of energy on the matter. Right? And it's very easy to burn out and waste a lot of energy just going against resistance. Instead, find momentum and take that on board. And you will find out by knowing those hearts and what do they think. And there are great available solutions in the people doing the work already, that they think, why are we doing this? We could do that. So how can you bring all these things together and actually make a difference? What is the worst it can happen? Let's try it out. What is the least we can try? We know these conversations. We have them all the time.